Doing what I do and giving my phone number and email address out at the end of every video like I do, with that comes criticism. I'm open to criticism. I welcome criticism. And I got an email from somebody with the subject line, "I challenge you." And it's about white supremacy in the Republican Party, racism, specifically about Donald Trump. So I want to share this email with you from Jason Blackwell, who has this to say: "I can't tell whether you're full of shit or if you actually believe the nonsense that comes out of your mouth. I've recently seen you show some of the negative feedback you've received from your audience. If your angle is to get clicks, I can understand that. However, if you're serious, you need to show your audience examples of what you're saying. For example, when you say that Trump and his supporters are quote unquote white supremacists and are a bunch of liars, you need to prove it. I think the saying these days is bring the receipts. If you have the balls, reach out to me and I'll be happy to have a friendly debate. But I already know that you don't have the balls or won't do the debate. Prove me wrong," says Jason Blackwell bravely in an email. Well, listen, I don't need to accept the challenge of some random internet stranger. Also, I don't need to provide receipts. We have witnessed the white supremacy and just all-out assault on black people in this country, specifically black people in this country, and that's what this article that I'm going to talk about is, since Donald Trump came on the scene. Donald Trump is right now in an effort to get rid of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, systematically erasing black people and black contributions from our culture. Deleting images of black Marines, fellow Marines who contributed to their units, to their war effort, to their country over decades. Deleting them from the internet. Deleting and removing exhibitions and exhibits from the Black History Museum here in Washington, D.C. I don't even need to talk about all of that like I have for the years and years and years. I don't need to talk about the voter suppression tactics of the Republican Party. I don't need to talk about Donald Trump's history with race himself, writing a little C for colored on the back of rent applications for his properties in which he was sued by the federal government. I don't even need to talk about that. We'll go right here to right now to today. Here is an article from the Associated Press, and it is dated... what a coincidence. May 1st, 2025. Here's the headline. The Justice Department ended a decades-old school desegregation order. Others are expected to fall. What kind of non-white supremacist can you name who wants to resegregate schools, who works against the desegregation effort that has been underway in this country for nearly 100 years, under color of law, from a Democrat? What kind of non-white supremacist would do that? Donald Trump would do that. Let me read a little bit from this article. Again, from May 1st, 2025. When Donald Trump's Justice Department, I added a little flourish there on whose Justice Department it was, when Donald Trump's Justice Department lifted a school desegregation order in Louisiana this week, officials called its continued existence a historical wrong and suggested that others dating to the civil rights movement should be reconsidered. The end of the 1966 legal agreement with the Plaquemines Parish schools, announced Tuesday, shows the Trump administration is, quote, getting America refocused on our bright future, Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon said. Harmeet Dillon, I'll have you know, used to be the leader of a West Coast San Francisco law firm that I have been sent cease and desist letters from over coverage about Trump supporters. Real free speech warrior here. That's an aside. Back to the article. In the Justice Department, officials appointed by President Donald Trump have expressed desire to withdraw from other desegregation orders they see as unnecessary burden on schools. according to a person familiar with the issue who was granted anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly. What was that? What's his name? Jason Blackwell. What was that? That inside the Justice Department, officials appointed by Donald Trump have expressed desire to withdraw from other desegregation orders for public schools? That doesn't sound like white supremacy to me. Does it you, Jason? Do you have the balls to admit that it does? Moving on, dozens of school districts across the South remain under court-enforced agreements dictating steps to work toward integration. Decades after the Supreme Court struck down racial segregation in education. Some see the court order's endurance as a sign the government never eradicated segregation, while officials in Louisiana, of course, white Republican officials in Louisiana think this, while officials in Louisiana at some schools see the orders as bygone relics that should be wiped away. The Justice Department opened a wave of cases in the 1960s after Congress unleashed the department to go after schools that resisted desegregation. Known as consent decrees, the orders can be lifted when districts prove they have eliminated segregation in its legacies. And do you believe that that is the case with Louisiana? In the South generally, broadly, where this effort was most needed in the southern states. Of course, in the North as well, but in the South especially. And still today, white supremacy lives on, and it is being battled back by progressives and liberals who appreciate democracy and the inclusion of everyone in our society and participation in our society, and that includes the right to vote. That is just not the case. Donald Trump is a white supremacist. What other type of person would attempt to end segregation orders in public schools? Jason Blackwell? Who? And speaking of the burden that they claim, Plaquemines Superintendent Shelley Ritz said the Justice Department officials still visited every year as recently as 2023 and requested data on topics including hiring and discipline. She said the paperwork was a burden for her district of fewer than 4,000 students. Quote, "It was hours of compiling data," she said. Oh no, what's her name? Shelley Ritz. Oh no, you had to do hours of work around what you do for a living? It took you hours of work to do your job? That's the complaint? That is the justification to end the segregation order in Louisiana, a famously racist white supremacist state? Yeah. So tell me again, Jason Blackwell, why Donald Trump, and I need to bring the receipts about Donald Trump being a white supremacist. You people are goofy. You people are too rich for words. Rich in stupidity, if it wasn't clear. Anyway, what do you think? Where am I wrong? You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. You can also email just like Jason did right there. Please consider supporting this work. You can help support this show. You can click the join button below this video right here on YouTube, and for $1.99, become a channel member. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Both those are great ways to help support this work, help produce these videos, and help me reach millions of people just like Jason Blackwell. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. See you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.